Happy Sunday night, and welcome to the Park Adventurers Club. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, for being with us tonight on your Sunday night. We hope we make it worth it for you. Tonight, we're going to be talking about Disneyland. Just celebrated its 70th anniversary and a whole bunch of other things that happened in the past week, so stick around for the whole thing. We got a great show for you, but please make sure you like this channel, subscribe to this channel, and like this video. It'll help people to find us. And tonight's us. Oh boy, you guys are, oh, you're lucky. Tonight's the night. It's Shannon.
Hey, everyone.
And Stephanie.
Hey there, hi there, ho there, Mouseketeers.
Let's start with this. It's the Starlight Parade had its soft opening, and that's interesting to have a soft opening for a parade. It's supposed to open officially tonight, which is July 20th, as we're taping this particular show, and they let it rip on Friday night. We were actually doing this group. We were doing a trivia on Friday Night Live, and we're like, wait a minute, what's happening? There's doing what now at the Magic Kingdom? I think they were so threatened by this power crew being on a trivia that they were like, we better launch this parade and get this going. So exactly. So the Starlight Parade launched, and honestly, I don't know that I've heard anybody, and I'm gonna go to you first on this one, Stephanie, because you have a history with Disney parades. I don't know that I've heard anybody say a negative thing about this one, which is rare. I mean, because we got a lot of other stuff to talk about people have been throwing shade at, but this one I haven't heard anything negative. Have you?
No, I haven't actually, and I've watched a few videos of live streams and that kind of thing. I feel like Disney finally gave the people what they want. It's been how long? I mean, like almost 10 years almost or something. So yeah, I think that this is something that we've really been anticipating and excited for. And Disney brought a great product. I did feel like we needed, some more entertainment, like the live dancers and things that they have in between the floats. And maybe that was just because it was soft opening and they don't have everybody. But I really like what they did with the lighting. And I'm so happy that the characters all still had the lights inside their costumes again. Like I talked about before, my history with Spectro, love that part with Spectro. So yeah, this is what we need at Disney parks. This is what sets Disney apart from every other theme park that you go to.
Okay. Shannon? Hang on a second. Wait a minute.
Yes.
Wait. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. And talk.
Okay. So I've only seen it once so far, and my initial impressions are that the floats look great. I agree with feedback that it is underwhelming in terms of the number of ground performers. There was something lacking for me, and I do think that I will grow to enjoy it over time. But you all can correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I don't believe there were any song lyrics. I'm looking for that earworm on this magic night, or this is the anthem, or when can we do this again? I wasn't getting that. But I admit that I need to see it again, and I'd really ideally like to see it in person. So not disappointed by any means. A nighttime parade is a nighttime parade, so we'll take it.
Well, I was going to say, that's one of the good things about this is that they've added something. And a lot of the time we've been talking about things that, like the test track, that's not an addition. That just, it's a thing that they just shut down, made some other changes to and brought it back up. We'll talk about that in a second. But this one is definitely an addition. If you think about the fact that there hasn't been one for 9 years, then it's an addition. If you think that, hey, there used to be nighttime parades all the time, then yeah, they're just adding it back. But I mean, I think it looks amazing. I'm excited to see it in person, but Rob Bazemore was there in person. He saw it for us on our behalf for the Park Adventure Club. He was there. Nice. Took some pictures, shared them with us. He said he's going to be at the 11 o'clock tonight, and he will pay attention. But one of the things that were said about it was that it was a little short. So, I mean, that's the thing. Before we get go any further, we have a super chat. Oof. That's the thing. It's from Jungle Cruiser. It says, I can tell you why Disneyland is special. Thursday was a magical day. Got to take a photo with the president of Disneyland and see Walt. Friday got to ride the tender on the train and see Walt another 18 times. 18 times? Really? That's insane. That's
so
crazy.
cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jungle Cruiser, for the update. Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate you as always. And yeah, we're going to talk about the Walt animatronic in a bit. So moving on to the next topic, talk about like soft openings. Test Track is now, as of today, going to be open. Yet its opening date isn't for another 2 days. This is so weird when this happens. Although Universal opened a theme park like 2 months before opening day, and so opening day rolls around, and everybody's like, it's like it's been open at that point. So I don't know if is there a time when the soft open is like a detriment to the opening of an attraction? Now, again, this is a reopening. This is not brand new, built from the ground up thing. This was like we took it down, we dusted it off, we threw up some Osborne lights and made the cars black, and And by the way, again, talking about positivity, there have been more positive views about this one being better than 2, but most people say not as good as the original Test Track. Shannon, how do you feel about them having these soft openings? Are you happy that Test Track's finally like kind of open? Does it going to matter what happens Tuesday?
Yeah, I mean, glad, of course, that it's back open, but I do not understand why you need to have a soft opening for Test Track. I can understand why they did it for, let's say, Tiana's Bayou, where you had that new technology where as you were going through the ride, it triggered, the animatronics, but I don't believe that we have that in Test Track. So I don't know. I don't get it. I just reopen the ride. It's not anything. It's not a huge reskin.
Yeah. No, I agree. So again, it's open. Stephanie, is this like a favorite attraction of yours? I know you have a 2-year-old. I guess there's a child swap. Do you guys go on it together? Do you sit back with the bags? How does that work out with your family?
Well, with a 2-year-old, we always take her into the exit of Mission Space because they have that wonderful playscape area. That's a wonder. If anybody has kids and you just want to sit and let your other ones go on Guardians or something, but you want to be in the cold air conditioning, go in there. You can charge your phone. You can let them climb through all the climbing stuff. It's great. So that's what we do with the 2-year-old. But yes, my older kids love Test Track, and they loved making their own cars, which they can no longer do. So I don't know how they're going to like this one. But I will say, as far as soft openings go, maybe it's most detrimental. And this is kind of a weird take on it, I guess. But maybe when it's new, like you're talking about Tiana's, that was essentially a reskin of a previous attraction, and everyone knows that you have the big drop and everything. But like I'm thinking about like Epic Universe, and yeah, they want to create hype to it, but like everybody's seen it then, and so. Do you want to go on the first day, on the opening day, or do you just want to be like, oh, I can wait 6 months because I've already watched the POV? So I don't know. Maybe that's when it hurts.
Again, I mean, I like that it's open. I'm sure Rob, who is again on boots on the ground in Disney World, is like, yes, I'm very happy that I get to go and ride Test Track before it opens up. I looked today that even though it's soft opening, you can't add it to your Lightning Lane multi-pass. You have to wait until Tuesday when it is officially open to add it to that. So when that happens, Epcot's tiers change a little bit because they had moved Soarin' into the top tier, and now it's moved. That's going to move back down into the regular tier, and then you're going to be able to have Test Track, Frozen, and Remy in that top tier of the Lightning Lane multipass starting on Tuesday. I'm just, again, we had a show a couple weeks ago where we were talking about, does it matter that everything is closed, and kind of ran down this list of all the things that were closed, and, are they closing too much? And so it's nice to have something else open, but then, we're going to lose Spaceship Earth for a little while. Buzz Lightyear is going to be going down. So there's a lot of other stuff going to be going down for changes. And, it's like the Apple iPhone. Like, do you buy this year, or do you wait 2 years for the next one, or 2 minutes for the next one that's going to be much better? It's like, do you go now to Disney, or do you wait until it's going to be perfect? Well, it's never going to be done. But if you wait till 2030, you might be able to go to Villains Land. So that'd be a thing. Yeah, that you can do. Yeah, maybe. The next thing is Disneyland, which is going to be our main topic tonight. But Disneyland turned 70 on July 17th of this past week, and there was a big celebration. They, Bob and Josh, those guys are always together now. Have you noticed that? They're just like they celebrate the future hand in hand. They are everywhere together. They Wait, what? So they rang the stock exchange bell from inside of Disneyland. They had a private kind of a gathering for the cast members before they opened up the gates for the 70th. They had a couple other things that happened. But the weird thing to me about this party is, as Stephanie, as you and I talked about before, when they did Walt Disney World's 50th anniversary, yeah, there were some banners and things up, but they didn't really launch it until the actual birthday, which was October 1st. This birthday launched back in May for some strange reason, like a random day in May. Most of the things were open then. The new nighttime show, Paint the Night, returned, but World of Color Happiness and the Return of Wondrous and the Cavalcade, I think. And so all of these things happen, and we've been able to buy merch. The same question back to the whole thing about soft opens. Like, I mean, Jungle Cruise had a great day there, but in general, it seems like there weren't too many special things for the actual special day.
Yeah, that's true. But you did get that selfie from Bob and Josh there. So maybe that was the most special thing that happened on the first day of the anniversary. They're wonderful faces together. No, I don't know. I feel like they're just capitalizing on this whole year, basically. That I was there for the 60th, and I was there basically a year after the 60th because the celebration was still going on. I think it went through Labor Day, if I'm remembering, the year after the actual 60th anniversary. So I was there for the 60th, even though it wasn't, the actual day. And I loved it. I loved being able to get all that merchandise and see the castle all done up. So, hey, that's fine. If they want to do it early, if they want to keep it going for 2 years, that's totally fine.
Sounds good. What about you, Shannon?
I almost wonder if they didn't do something bigger just because it isn't. 70
Like
years
the
is a
75th?
big deal. Correct. Yeah, it's not like a momentous anniversary, in my opinion. Like, I think the 75th, you need to blow that out of the water. But the 70th, it's like that is a huge accomplishment and nothing to write off. But save it for a bigger occasion. Like I'm okay with what they did. And to your point, I think they needed to do some of these things earlier on instead of on the date, because then if it didn't work out, I mean, they would never hear the end of it on social media.
Ooh, yeah.
Wait, people trash each other on social media? That doesn't. Are you sure?
It's a wonderful, wonderful place to be, Rob.
Interesting. This is going to be a little off center, but this is the guide maps that they had. I and the button that they gave away on the day. So I'm a little jealous of that. I mean,
yeah, that's
those
cute.
looked pretty cool. So when I go next week, I'm going to probably swing by guest services and go, please, do you have any more of these in the back? You do. They're in a dumpster somewhere ready to go. Like, you don't need them. I'd like to have one. It's fine, but it was that was a really cool looking map that they gave out that day. So there a couple things happened on that day. They opened up the Walt Disney statue, and they opened up the It's a Small World edition. So as we're talking about things that happened, the Small World edition was they added, and this is our next story, they added an additional verse that Richard Sherman had written before he passed to the song "It's a Small World," and they added that verse as part of the 70th anniversary of the park. But they also added it to Walt Disney World, which I didn't see coming. Like, I didn't think they would do that. I thought there was just going to be something specific for the attraction. Now, also at the attraction back in May, they reopened It's a Small World without the verse, but they had added a new scene with Coco. Now they've gone back and added the verse. So they've kind of double dipped on this attraction, Stephanie. They kind of went in and they were like, hey, It's special. Go in May, but it's special again. Come back in July. But the fact that they did it at Disney World too is kind of cool. Thoughts on this new verse in both places?
Yeah, I don't know if it's necessary at Disney World. I mean, I guess because of just to be continuity or something like that. But I like the idea, I always do, about having differences in the two coasts so that you are having something that you can only see at Disney World and having something you can only see at Disneyland. It makes you want to go to both parks. So I don't know. I think it's actually original to the Sherman Brothers. I'm glad it wasn't something that Disney just threw in by Joe Blow or something. So
Hans Zimmer has added to the It's a Small World song. I remember there was a specific, I won't mention the name of it, but there was another Disney outlet that had made this be so tragic. It was like, they're changing the Small World song. And it's like, no, they're plussing it. They really are. I mean, the rest of it is still as charming and as amazing as it ever was, and they've decided to plus it out, and I think it fits, and I think it's cool. And you know what? I don't think it's the best verse out of all of them.
Right.
Right. What Humankind, is that what we're putting in there? But I do think that it was sweet, and I do think it's a great homage to a great man and a great duo who gave so much to the parks. So I'm glad that it's there. Before I get on to your thoughts on that one, Shannon, I do want to say we've got another super chat here. So wait a minute. I got to find it because it's not a super chat without this now. You ready?
Yeah.
I do miss the Shannon dancing, but I mean, come on.
Yeah.
No, it's okay. I needed a break.
Oh, you needed a break? Okay. But again, I'm digging the song, the sounder. So Jungle Cruiser again says they gave out special buttons and a vintage park map and played Walt's opening speech twice. They also had a special cavalcade, was 1,000 times better than WDW 50. Not just better.
Wow.
Right.
Not just a little better, 1,000 times better. Those are bold words. But again, this is the 70th. This is not the 50th, the 75th. This is the 70th. I mean, yeah. I don't know that anybody asked them to bring it, but I feel like it done be brought. I know that when I was talking to Charlie about this, he was like, oh yeah, the 70th is exactly... Charlie's the best. I love Charlie. If you haven't seen Charlie on our network, he'll be with me on next Wednesday doing Fantastic Four. On a look on the plus side, but Charlie was like, I can't do this justice, but I'm gonna try. He said it's like you would expect a 70-year-old's birthday party to be. It's super chill.
Man.
It's super chill. There's some nice food. There's some nice merchandise, and it's super chill. And I was just like, like a 70-year-old would be on their birthday. One of the things, yeah. But that's great that they did the Walt speech because we definitely need to honor the man. And so, speaking of honoring the man, so the Walt Disney Animatronic, the show had at Disneyland was released on the 17th. There was some talk about how it wasn't ready for that May date, and so they finally opened it up at the Opera House, and it's called Walt Disney: A Magical Life, and this is the one that Jungle Cruiser was referring to earlier. And there was my feed the morning of this blew up with you too? Yeah, my yes. Social feed blew up with people comparing this to the My Pillow guy, to to just to so many other people, because I think that the complaint was that it doesn't look like Walt, and I'm like, I don't know what you could have done that would have made people happy here, right? Yeah. So here's the picture of it. And when I think part of the problem is we have so much footage of Walt that we know what Walt looks like, and so therefore we're just okay, that's not him. We've seen him growing up with watching him on TV and seeing the in-park movies and all these different things. We're like, that's not him. I don't know that they got Abraham Lincoln spot on because I don't really know that I have a good
Right.
reference for Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
But I do
Yeah.
know that the animatronics that they've done in the Hall of Presidents have been not even close. Like, I mean, right?
Yeah.
Like the closest one
Yeah.
feels like maybe George W. was kind of close,
Yeah.
but the rest
Well,
of them, the rest of them not even. So I don't know. I don't know that they could have. I think it was an impossible task. But I think the other question is, should it have happened? When I talked to my wife about this, I was like, "What do you think about the animatronic?" And she was like, "Well, I haven't seen like the entire show yet, but." Are you asking me if I think it looks like him, or are you asking me if I think they should have done this? And I was like, either, I guess. So, Shannon, same question. What are your thoughts?
You know, I was on the side of it being okay, but I think watching the TV show Severance kind of ruined it for me because it made. I mean, if you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. But
Yes.
essentially, there's an animatronic in there, and it did ruin this a little bit. But however, I truly think this is something that I cannot judge until I see it in person. The pictures that I'm seeing from vloggers remind me of celebrity tabloids when paparazzi gets really unflattering pictures of celebrities, and you know that they don't really look like that on the regular. So I need to see this animatronic in person. And I think they got the leaning on the desk really looked like pictures and videos that I've seen of him in terms of like mannerisms. So the face looked like it could have been thinned out a little bit, but gotta wait to see it.
Yeah. Well, what do you think, Stephanie?
Yeah, I agree with what Shannon's talking about. I feel like the face is the thing that most people have the problem with because the movements are so fluid with this, really highly advanced animatronic, but it's the facial expressions and it's the roundness of the face too. I feel like Walt, especially in his later days, had more of a hound dog appearance, as I call it, like where the facial and come down, but it's more of an elongated profile and face. So that's not something that the animatronic has, and I wish that they had sculpted it to look a little bit better in that regard. And people always talk about his very expressive eyebrows, and his eyes would be the window into his soul, they always say, right? But that was especially true for Walt. And the animatronic does some it does some movements where it opens its eyes really wide like this, and the sclera, the whiteness around the pupil and the iris of the eye look too fake to me. Like maybe they could have made it darkened it a little bit, or put something like maybe make the eye not open as much, but that's what makes it look more like a robot and not like him. But I will say I'm glad that they used his own voice. If they had dubbed it, or if they had an impersonator or somebody like that do his voice, that would have not flown. So I'm glad that they have his own recorded voice and his speech, and I think it's an interview actually. But I do feel like what Shannon said, I need to see it in person, and I need to see it from the right angle, because I'm not sure how all these videos are getting shot.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to throw shade at this at all, because again, Jungle Cruiser, who part of our pack, says it is amazing. I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to see it. I'm ready to like it. I think a lot of people were like, he never said he wanted this to happen. And I was like, neither did Lincoln. Like, I don't know if that's a good comparison or not. But, but again, I think it's one of these things, and I mentioned this a million times before, is that when we used to go to Disney when I was a kid, we'd go to Walt Disney World, and on Main Street was the Walt Disney Story. And my dad would always make us go and watch that first, because he wanted to go, look, this is where it came from. This was the start. This is the man, because he had passed away by the time that I was born. So I was like, and so he would make us go watch that. I am so happy that he did now, but I think at the time I was like, but Space Mountain right there, like, let's go. Like, what are we waiting on? So I love that this exists at the Opera House when you get there, and that it's going to interact with the Lincoln Story, so that if you're like, okay, I'd still like to see the Lincoln one, now you can see two attractions in one place. That's great, as opposed to what we've seen before, either with places shut down or them scrapping something and building something new in its place. They've built two They built two in the same spot. I mean, yes, they did it with Impressions of France and, of course, the the Beauty and the Beast sing-along, but yeah, it is what it is. So honestly, again, I'm waiting to see it. I love that he stands up off the desk, that he walks, that they use his real voice. I'm excited about all of those things. I think it's just there were a lot of people. The question was like, should they have done it? I don't know that that's necessarily something we can decide, but we can go watch it and see how it is and all that. But I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. All right. So before we move on to our topic of the week, which is related to all this, we do have, hang on, wait a minute, one more, hold it, super chat from Jungle Cruiser. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? Yeah. So Jungle Cruiser says, I met an Imagineer for this project. This was started in 2018. The face needs work. It'll be interesting to see, like, if they continue to work on it and fine tune it and all that kind of stuff. But I think at this point they were just like, it has to be open for the birthday of the park. It has to be. If it was delayed from the May opening to this time, it had to be ready to go. And I know that there's been some stuff about it breaking down. It had a virtual queue when it first started, but apparently that's not needed anymore. It's still in the app as an option. But I honestly am excited to see it. And so, and again, I think both of you are the same way about it. Should it be done? Wasn't my decision to make, but once I see it, I'm probably going to want to see it again and again, like Jungle Cruiser talked about. So, that brings us to our topic of the week. We're closing. Let me go ahead and do this officially. We're going to close old business. That was old business, and we're going to open up our new business for the night. And it's kind of a question, but it's kind of like we want to share. The question is, what makes Disneyland so special? Honestly, the very first time, like, I didn't get to go to Disneyland until I was in my 20s. The very first time my brother went, I have a much older brother. He and his wife went, and he came back to me. I was like, how was it? He was like, eh. He's like, it felt like driving up to King's Dominion, which was a regional park for us in Richmond, Virginia. And he said it didn't feel special when you drove up to it and you could see everything from the parking lot. And he was used to what I was used to, which was when you get to the tickets, the transportation and ticket center, and you get on that monorail or the ferry and you have that view as you approach the Magic Kingdom for the first time. It is, it is all contained and every bit of it is magical and all that. So I think that's where he was going with that. I finally got to see it, like I said, in my 20s. I went there, and I got there on a layover, and we were headed to Hawaii with a group of high school kids that we were taking to New Zealand for a study abroad thing. And I was like, I can't get this close and not go see it. I almost missed the plane. I had all the guys' tickets. I was in a lot of trouble, but I did go for like an hour and a half, and it was, to me, very special. And so I guess that's one of the things I want to talk about. The other thing is, anytime I go on vacation, everybody in my company was like, oh, you're going to Disney. And to them, Disney is just, it's all the same. Disney is Disney is Disney. They don't acknowledge a difference. And us in this community, and if you're a Disney fan, you wouldn't be watching this if you weren't a Disney fan. If you're a Disney fan, you know that there's differences and special things between Disneyland and Disney World that make them different. And I don't think that one is better than the other, although the people on the West Coast will tell you Disneyland is better than Disney World, and they don't get Disney World. It's too big and expanded, and there's not enough to do. And the people at Disney World are like, it's so small and their castle is half as big, and so there's I think sort of like two teams on that. I really feel like I fall squarely in the middle. We'll find out where Stephanie and Shannon fall on this too. But something that Jungle Cruiser mentioned before we get into that is that speech. We all know that speech that Walt made. And to all who come to this happy place, welcome. Like, who else spoke like that? I don't know. Did someone else like? I don't. It's just it makes me feel happy every time I see that. To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land, and here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future. So, I mean, that's so poetic. Definitely not done with ChatGPT. Definitely done with heart and soul and feeling. And so I guess what I want to do is to kind of go around with you guys and say, start with like the first time you went to Disneyland, Shannon. Like, how long ago was it, and did it give you all the feels, and do you see clearly the difference between Disneyland and Disney World?
Yeah, 2016 was my first trip to Disneyland, and I was beyond excited when I got to the ticket gate. I felt like it was a pilgrimage for me. There was a little bit of, being underwhelmed, and that's just because I've known Disney World my whole life. And then, but it still felt magical, right? It was the original. It was all brand new to me. The second time I went, I was actually super disappointed. Like I didn't get the magic feels that I get when I go to Disney World. And I guess the third time's the charm. When I just went a few months back, and I was able to appreciate it more. But there's yeah. So there's a story behind this picture. First, the Matterhorn, I was not able to get on my first two trips. I always just hit it at that time when the Matterhorn closes every year for refurbishment. So this most recent year, I had actually gone to the actual Matterhorn in Switzerland, and I said I need to get on the Matterhorn at Disneyland. And this last trip, I got on it. It was magical. I love that ride so much, and it's part of what would make me come back. Yeah, that's unfortunately we didn't have the best weather day, but you can just barely see the peak of the Matterhorn above those clouds. So I needed to recreate that picture just a few months apart. But the Matterhorn is super cool.
Awesome. Stephanie, same question.
Yeah, so we were a Walt Disney World family because we're in Louisiana, so it's closer for us to go to Florida than if we're going to drive anywhere. We're not driving to California. But I went in, the first time we went to Disneyland was in 2006. It was December of 2006 because I remember my brother, I think, was graduating from high school and he got to pick where he went and he wanted to do like a tour of California. And of course, we can't go there without going to Disneyland. And so that was the first time. And I remember thinking how different it was and how everything seemed, it felt smaller. It is smaller. But that's what really stuck out to me. And then we've been back a few times since we've had kids. And, as they get older, they can start to notice the differences too. But some of them are great. And some of them, I think it really gives me an appreciation for Disney World. Okay, so this is a picture of me and my husband and one of my daughters, and we're in Walt's apartment. That's the Main Street Story tour that you can take. And we have so many kids that really it was just us and this one other couple. But because there can't be that too many people in the apartment. Yeah, and this is the want you to look out the window like Walt used to do and just watch the people on Main Street going through. And it's a wonderful, wonderful tour. I can't recommend it highly enough. If you ever get out to Disneyland to do this, you actually get to take treats and lemonade and like he used to do on his terrace. And the Disneyland band came down Main Street and the people were, singing and dancing to that. And we got to sit there and take in all the sights. It was really, really neat.
Nice. Yeah, I do find it funny that I think both of you guys have been in the Walk in Walt's Footsteps tour, and I have not. So, thanks.
Oh, you're missing out.
Well,
you gotta do it.
Yeah, when I'm there, I wanna do everything, and that's the thing too. Is like I want to do all the rides. I want to hang out and feel the vibes and all that kind of stuff. One of the funny things that we were talking about before the show is that when Shannon sent that picture of her just pointing out of context to the Matterhorn, I was like, that reminds me of something, and it reminded me of this. Like, hey, can you point to the Matterhorn? You can. I mean, I don't know. It made me laugh a little bit when I saw that, so I felt like we should share that with you guys. So the first thing is something that you guys have both touched on is that this was Walt's park. This was his dream. This was his his dream come true, and he got to be in this park and walk this park. And there's all the stories that he slept in that apartment, and he would come out before the day shift or the morning shift would come out, and he would put notes on things that he wanted painted or fixed, or he basically was the one that evolved this park from what it started with. I mean, he built it from the ground up and helped it to evolve into what is the modern theme park, really. And so, he used TV to promote it. All of that stuff is so, there's something so, and I'm going to hesitate to use this word, but I will, magical, because it's the happiest place on earth. If you don't know, Disneyland is the happiest place on earth, and Walt Disney World is the most magical place on earth, because they can't both be the happiest and they can't be both be the most magical. So they've decided Disneyland happy, Disney World magical. So if you ever hear somebody say Disney World is the happiest place on earth, please correct them immediately. But Disneyland, there's something very charming about it too, and magical and wonderful. And yes, the castle is smaller, but it's the castle that Walt walked through, and it's the castle that that he helped to build. And even though his dream for Florida was not necessarily to build another Magic Kingdom, that was something that they built. And when they built it, he didn't ever live long enough to be able to see any of that project come to life. So, Stephanie, do you know what? Go ahead, Shannon.
I was going to say, what really breathed life into Disneyland for the 70th? It was Bob Gurr going around and down Main Street. Like, that, for me, strikes a chord. And it's just, he was there with Walt, and that's such an amazing thing to think about. And sometimes I think it's like the lack of Walt is what has made Disneyland not feel as charming to me. But when I see Bob Gurr there, my heart explodes.
Okay. Stephanie, thoughts?
Yeah, that's true. I feel like you have to honor those people who are still around while you can, because we don't have them around for very much longer. I'm sure they're getting very, very well up in age, in their 90s, probably some of them. So I think that we have to honor the past and look towards the future, like Walt did himself, while we are still enjoying the present. And he had a very good nostalgia, reverence for the past. And I think that again, that's something that Disney, the company now, should be doing more, is to honor Walt's vision for what he wanted things to be. And I know that they always say, okay, the parks they're always changing, right? They're never static. But I was just watching one of the documentaries about Disneyland, and I feel like, for instance, we got Joe Rohde over here making Disney's Animal Kingdom many, many years after Walt's passing. And it really, that Kilimanjaro Safari, at least in its opening iteration, where you had the theming of the poacher coming after you and everything, or you have to stop the poacher, that was what Disneyland's Jungle Cruise, Walt really wanted, because he wanted live animals. And so I feel like Joe Rohde and his creative team were like, hey, let's do on a bigger scale, let's do what Walt really wanted to do and have that dream come to fruition, even though it wasn't boats. But that's what I think the Disney company needs.
Yeah. So more Bob Gurr and more of the old days. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, one of the things that they tell us about is that it's not a museum. We're going to trash the rivers of America. It's not a museum. We keep moving forward, which was a Walt thing to say. We keep moving forward. So I get it, but at the same time, there is something special about that park, because Walt had his hands on it, because of the history, because of the care that was taken, that I think it is treated differently than Disney World is. And that, it's kind of like when you think about, like, you go over to Europe and you go, wait a minute, that building is older than my country is. Okay. Right. It's the same thing. Like, the stuff in Disney World feels like it's been there forever, but not compared to Disneyland, because that's the original. And so a lot of the things were copies and brought over from one park to the other. We have another super chat. So this one is from our good friend Rosita. I just want to show my love for the show, and thank you, Rob, for having my favorite ladies on. Hello, Stephanie and Shannon. What? crazy. Thank you so much, Rosita. We appreciate the super chat. Thank you guys for doing. Thanks everybody for being on here. We have a good time, and of course, yes, these two are amazing. You can go catch them on last Fridays. If you were busy watching the parade live stream, you can come back and watch the trivia matchup between these two last Friday night on our channel on Hakuna Trivia. It is said to be the most friendly version of a competition that has ever taken place ever. So, all right, so let's move over to the next point. So the first one was about the magic that Walt brought into it and the history that's in that park. The next part of it is to talk about the things that are different. And you know, when I think about what is different about this park versus Disney World, I had this conversation before on when we were talking about Star Wars, and I said I feel like that Batuu should be different. There shouldn't be two of the same Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. There should be one in Disneyland and one in Disney World. And the conversation that Rob Bazemore challenged me with was, well, people don't get to go to both like all of us do, Rob. And it's like, I choose to do this and be mocked for it rather than go to Cozumel or to Italy or other places. Because people are like, you're going to Disney again. And like, I'm going to Greece for 2 weeks. It's like, that's great. This is where I want to be. So, I mean, I'm giving up those experiences to be able to go to Disneyland and Disney World. Mock me later. But I honestly, I feel like that there are things that I'm glad because of the domestic parks that there are things that are different between the two. I'm glad that there are, so that when I go now, there's a lot of things that are the same. Both of the parks have Haunted Mansions. Both of the parks have It's a Small World. Both of the parks have the Jungle Cruise. Like the mainstays are there. But if I'm sad that Mr. Toad doesn't exist anymore in Florida, thank goodness it still lives on in California. But when I say things that are that they have there that they don't have in Disney World, my wife's first thing was food. She immediately was like, I love the corn. And they do have it now in like Animal Kingdom. But like in Disneyland Park, they have on some of those carts, you can go up and get corn on a stick. And she loves that. She loves that that's a thing that you can do. She is a huge fan of going to to get banyan beef, the skewers that over there in Adventureland. So I want to ask each of you, like, when you think of things that they have at Disneyland that they don't have at Disney World, and maybe you wish they had it at Disney World, but Stephanie, what is a thing that you are glad they have at Disneyland that doesn't exist in Disney World?
I really like their Fantasyland better at Disneyland. I can appreciate what we have at Disney World, and I recently learned that our Fantasy Fair kind of vibe at Disney World was original to Disneyland, and then in 1983 or something like that, they went back and put it as a Bavarian village, and they reworked all of the little entrances to the dark rides, which I think are beautiful. They really are. But I do think that I like the vibe over at Disneyland better, even though it is smaller, like we're saying, like it's harder to maneuver sometimes when it's very crowded. But I think they've plussed out their dark rides over there as opposed to Disney World. But I don't know. One thing I wish we had at Disney World that Disneyland has is the Bengal barbecue. I love that place. We totally need that at Adventureland.
Isn't that great? And I'm looking at the chat, and Jay Ware said the quick service is much better, not necessarily the restaurants. And that's the thing that I noticed immediately. First of all, I will tell you that I feel like the bathrooms are better at Disney World.
They're bigger for sure.
Yeah. But then the other thing is when it comes to the sit-down restaurants, they're not there. And we'll talk about later the fact that this is considered a locals park. But when you go to Disney World, the nice table service restaurants are the thing. Like you want to go to the Skipper Canteen or the Be Our Guest or the Cinderella's Royal Table or, all of these different things. There aren't a ton. There's like a handful of sit-down restaurants in Disneyland and in California Adventure. So you're much more limited there. But I do agree that the walk-up food, the counter service I much prefer the options that they have here. I like the Tropical Hideaway. I love Pim's Test Kitchen over at Disney California Adventure. So yeah, there's a lot of different things between the two. Rob's still roasting me in the chat about the whole, people can't go to both parks. We're lucky to go to one. I get it. Yeah. He says, as he's at at the Magic Kingdom waiting to see the parade for the 18th time.
Yeah. Right.
So, Alicia said best churros. I agree. The churros are one of those things that, like the churros at Disney World, I only get because they look like lightsabers or they're a special flavor or whatever, and they're never good. They're just never good. I don't know why, but you go to Disneyland and they're always good, and they have them everywhere in tons of different flavors and things like that. So that's definitely a plus. And Mr. Bazemore, as he's talking about other things, says Cars Land. They should definitely open a Cars Land at Magic Kingdom.
Yep.
You know what? I feel like he's just trolling at this point.
He
He's
is
just
totally trolling.
Yeah. All right. So, Shannon, same question.
Yeah, I don't even know which one to pick because they're all so good, but Matterhorn, Toad, Indiana Jones, but of course we're going to be getting that soon. But what I can appreciate is even the rides that we do have in Disney World, in Disneyland, are different, right? The mansion's different, probably the most similar though. Pirates, I think, is very different. Space Mountain, Thunder Mountain, and truthfully, even though I'm always Team Walt Disney World at the end of the day, I think all of the attractions are better at Disneyland. So even though you do have some similar rides on both coasts, I really appreciate that. Like a lot of them are not carbon copies, and it makes Disneyland that much more special.
Yeah. Just again, looking at the folks in the chat, Mr. Toad, the Mint Julep, the corn dogs and churros, Blue Bayou. I'm looking through to see if I'm missing. Dawn, thank you, Dawn, for being on my side of the two Rob argument. She said different stuff at different parks. I'm never going to go to Shanghai, but I'm fine that they have different, that they have fun, different stuff.
How about that monorail station in Tomorrowland? That is completely unique, right? I love that.
Yeah, that is an interesting thing. Is that you can get on the if you're staying at Disneyland Hotel, you can get on the monorail at Disneyland Hotel and ride it directly into the back of the park. It's kind of like riding the Skyliner into the International Gateway. You can get right into the back of the park and get going back there. That's kind of cool. Who has a better monorail though? I feel like the one at Disney World is
not even.
I mean, again, we can use the word cozy and we can say charming, but I mean, and it's got a seat. Everybody's got to sit down, and that you can't stand up at the one in Disneyland. But
you get to ride in the front.
Yes, true. But there it's an attraction as opposed to its transportation at Disney World. So I guess that's right. the give and take there. I agree with you, Shannon. The attractions seem like they're a little bit better. I know that our friend Patrick gets a little rammy that they get a lot of other things too that we don't get in
popcorn
in Florida.
buckets, Rob.
They do some great popcorn bucket work out there, but we're seeing a lot more of those come to Disney World after the fact. But the very like Pirates is one of those that is longer at Disneyland, and it's got a lot more to it. It's got multiple drops. It's got a big, huge, grand opening with you coming through the bayou and then going down the first drop, and you've got the Blue Bayou restaurant inside. So it's a much more grand attraction. But the queue, not so much. Like the queue at Disney World is. I mean, it's like you're walking through a fort, and yet this one, it's like you walked into the front of a Denny's.
Not that bad.
What? I mean, there was the theming. Yeah. Anyway.
Okay.
So
I heard. Can I say real quick? I heard some fan lore on this. So the map that's on the mural at the very beginning of Pirates Queue, whenever you walk in, and there's a fort on the map. That map is from the Treasure Island book. Okay, and the fort on the map is the fort that you walk in at Disney World.
Cool.
Okay.
I like that.
No, that's cool. I like that. The Haunted Mansion, I feel like, honestly, we may have a better version of that in Florida.
Yes, I agree.
I think it's also what they originally... The facade, the exterior was what they originally envisioned for it too.
Well, and I think he wanted it to be a walkthrough, a complete walkthrough, and I feel like you do walk through half of the attraction, right? Versus Walt Disney World. You do.
Rob Bazemore saying that Trader Sam's is better at WDW, and yeah, I could see that. But
Agreed.
and it's not like that was the Trader Sam, not like the one at the Disneyland Hotel is the one that Walt went through. I mean, that came after the fact. So
right.
they just have the blessing of size in Florida and can make it a little bit bigger, and it's more of an event, I feel like. But there's still something that seems like it's the original, because it is for the one in California. So I do appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, but there are several things. The Cars Land there is amazing. Maybe Piston Peak will be amazing, but it seems like it's not a Cars Land. The fact that they can do Marvel out there is great. They should be doing it better than they're doing it, but they are doing it, and that's kind of cool. So that's the thing. So let's talk about the fact that this one is in the middle of a city. So location about this park. So the reason that Walt wanted to build quietly in Florida is because he wanted to buy as much land as he could to make an entire resort, but he also wanted to make a city of tomorrow, which didn't really happen. But so they're landlocked with all of these hotels, and it's like you're not protected in that Disney bubble like you are when you go to Disney World. Disney World, you can normally stay on grounds, and even if you don't, when you drive in, when you step out, you're on grounds. It's a little bit different experience when you're at Disneyland. So if you are lucky enough to have the money to stay in one of those 3 Disney hotels, specifically the Grand Californian or Disneyland Hotel, then you're going to be kind of in the bubble. You're kind of in the bubble at that point, because you come in through, the downtown Disney, and you go to the Esplanade, and you go into the parks, and it's very contained. If you're coming in on the side with the Denny's, IHOP, it's an IHOP.
I think it's an IHOP, yeah.
Yeah, if you're coming in on that side, then you may have some people yelling at you, or you may see a lot of things that don't feel very Disney outside of those gates, and I think that's what they're trying to fix with the new entryway that they're working on there. So, so the location is kind of landlocked, but they've done a lot with the land they've had, and Disneyland Forward should make that even bigger and better. But I think that also when you talk about the location, you have to talk about the fact that they're close to the Big Brass. They need to make it look good for Bob Iger and Josh D'Amaro, who can swing by at any time. They need to make it good for, and then the Imagineers can swing by and play in that park or in those parks. So that's another thing that I think is good. And they can bring Hollywood stars in at the drop of a hat to do things like Johnny Depp used to do with standing inside the Pirates attraction, or outside as the Mad Hatter, or the things that he's done in the past. So I feel like the location of it, yes, they're landlocked in there, but because of where they are in California, I feel like it brings a lot more to the table. Stephanie, thoughts?
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like it kind of takes you out of the Disney bubble, out of that fantasy of leaving the world behind you, and you're just in the Disney lore now. But I will say this, my husband, as we're getting older, he's like, I really like that you can just walk across to go park hop. You don't have to take 30-minute, on a bus or a train or whatever, and, a monorail to the other park. So he really likes that. But I do feel like I prefer the Walt Disney World feeling of going into Disney property, and you are countdown, going under the gate there, and all of a sudden you're now in Disney World, and you don't even have to be inside the park. You're still on the interstate, but you have that grand entrance feeling. So I do enjoy that more. But yeah, with the Disney brass nearby, as you said, I think it was Walt's original intention was to have like a Mickey Town right next to his studio, and then it just, all the things they wanted to do just got too big, and he was looking for more acreage, and it was a lot of acreage back then. And Anaheim, he bought a bunch of areas that he thought he could expand out, and of course they just built up around it. So I'm not sure that he was looking for as expansive a space as they need right now, but I know that they are strategically, going about and saying, well, this parking lot, this parking garage, and we can, expand into those areas.
Yeah. Here's just for those of you who don't know, here's how this park looks. I mean, it's in the middle of of Anaheim. And so you can see you've got roads around the outside and highways. And I think it's amazing what they've been able to do. So here's the Esplanade in the middle. And then here's Disney California Adventure, which used to be the parking lot for Disneyland that I was telling you my brother drove up through. And they put like a water, the waterway in here and a whole new park. And then the new thought is that they will expand it for Disneyland Forward across to this area in here where the Simba parking lot is, and add even more stuff to it. So honestly, they have done an amazing job, in my opinion, of taking something that was one park that was boxed in and making it really a second resort in a lot of ways, with 3 hotels and 2 theme parks and downtown Disney shopping area. Same thing about the location, though, to Shannon. Thoughts on that one? Because I know that, again, you've been a few times. Do you usually stay at one of the hotels there or across the street?
No, because the first time I went, I stayed at the Disneyland Hotel, which I absolutely love. But the second 2 times I went to Disneyland, I was actually just traveling in the area for work. And this is what's hysterical to me. Well, first I'll say that Disneyland kind of just being smack dab in the real world, it doesn't bother me because I know what to expect. So I'm like, this is what it is. I take it at face value. But as a consumer, it's fantastic because I believe that I have a very generous reimbursement from my company for hotel stays. And I thought it was just hysterical that it didn't even cover the Pixar Place Hotel, which is not that great. But I could stay at the Westin, which is a few steps away and an absolutely gorgeous hotel. So as a consumer, I love that I could stay at really nice hotels for what are extremely reasonable rates. Unlike Disney World, where they're like, we got you. You're going to pay $800 a night for the yacht club, and who cares? Or even staying at, an All-Star for like $200 a night or whatever it is. But, and also, I live in New Jersey. I do have the blessing of Newark Airport, if you want to call it a blessing, but I can fly direct to John Wayne Airport, which is super convenient to Disneyland. Very quick, 15 to 20 minute easy drive there. So in terms of like the location and the fact that, you can hop over to all of the other major studios, it's not the closest ride, but it kind of puts you in that Hollywood and sound stages and things like that. So I think I appreciate the location. I don't mind that the outdoor stuff is really that bad because I always have Disney World at the end of the day. That'll protect me.
And you can run out to the 7-Eleven on the corner and grab a Slurpee if
Right.
you don't want to get if you want to spend a little bit of less money. Obviously, they're looking to expand even further. We talked about Disneyland Forward. So, we know that they're going to set up a new entry gate. So on the other side of everything that we looked at here. So, I think we've shown this map in the past, but just in this general vicinity, in the center here, there's some parking lots that they own. They bought this hotel that's going to be a pass-through, and then they're going to take this area in the middle that was a bus loop, and they're going to make that part of like an expansion for Avatar. And so, they're taking, again, they're doing the best with what they've got size-wise, and they're going to do some things. So, the Disneyland Forward is their expansion program that they've been wanting to do for years. They've rumored of building a 4th hotel, down near the Disneyland Hotel. That fell through. They talked about building this parking structure down, near that IHOP. It is confirmed it is an IHOP, by the way. But they so that project is happening so that they can make room for Pandora, and then you're going to also have a new Coco ride and a lot of other stuff. Of the stuff that's coming up, just real quick, Stephanie, what are you looking forward to the most about what is next in Disneyland's future that they've announced already?
Actually, the Coco ride, because I'm all about the dark rides because I can bring all my kids on that and the adults like it too. So that's what I'm most excited about.
Just like that. And Shannon, what are your thoughts? What's
I don't know. Honestly, I haven't given it much thought.
okay?
I don't think I have an answer for you. I'm sorry.
No, that's That's okay.
I mean, anything new really is exciting to me. So.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
There you go.
here's an article that I pulled up from the Disney Parks blog about there's the Coco ride and what that'll look like. And what I'm excited about with that one in particular is that one's not shutting something down. Everything that we're getting at Disney World is shutting
Thank
something
you.
down. And this is actually adding to that, as like Stephanie was talking about. You're adding a dark ride. And I would love a chance to, I would love to know when this is coming, but also like, make sure you know when it's coming first before you tell me, Disney, because I'll get my hopes up. But we already know it's coming, and we think it's coming over there at Paradise Gardens, right next to where they do the Coco activations during Halloween and etc. So. Again, just to wrap this up, I feel like there are a lot of things that are different about it, and I think that a lot of people don't get that. They're like, well, it's the same. They're both the same. And to Rob's point, he says that maybe they should just both be the same, or they should both be better because not everybody gets to go to both. I think that they should be great. I think both of them should be amazing. I think they should put all the money they can to making these parks amazing, because we put all of our money here, at least, into their pockets to help make these parks great. So we want to make sure that good things are coming. It'll be interesting to see at D23, Destination D23, which comes up at the end of August, if they make any announcements about updates about these things, or we know Monsters Inc. is going to close at the end of this year for them to start making the Avatar Land or the Avatar Experience over Disney California Adventure. I think we're all still waiting for them to say something about Tomorrowland, because Tomorrowland still feels like it is stuck. There's an empty theater there that they could have just put Captain EO back in it. They could have put Path of the Jedi, I don't care, put something in it so that there's more things to do. You're just turning on a movie and hiring 3 cast members to run the thing. Like, I just feel like you could probably do with that. That would be neat. The Intervention Space, which then became Launch Bay, there was talk they were going to trash it, but now it's like a DVC lounge and like a Visa meet and greet and not much else. So it'd be nice for them to do something else there and do something else with that. But then the Tomorrowland, the People Mover track is still there, but it seems like they're going to have to replace every bit of it if they ever decide to bring the People Mover back. I would love to see some big announcement about Tomorrowland. I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love to, because I think they've already got a lot on their plate about things that are going to be going on. And if they do decide to do something Tomorrowland, finish all these other projects first, please, and then do something about Tomorrowland. That would be awesome. All right, so before we get to our final say from our crew here on what makes Disneyland special, I want to say thank you to what makes the Park Adventures Club special, which is you guys. Thank you guys for being here, for hanging out with us on the Park Adventures Club on Sunday nights, Look on the Plus side on Wednesday nights, and our Friday programming. Here's a look at what's coming up for us. Tonight you're here. This is the Park Adventures Club. Wednesday night, Charlie, as I mentioned, talking about Fantastic Four, the 2005 one, getting you ready for the new Fantastic Four coming out. And then on Friday night is Castaways, which is Stephanie's show, where she talks about the people who make the magic. You want to talk about that one real quick, Stephanie?
Yeah, we have our great friend Ron Deanna, and he has some wonderful, wonderful stories from his time working at Disney World. So please join us, and put in the comment section. Let us know what questions you have for Ron, because we're going to do a part 2.
Okay. And then next Sunday night, we do not have a show. I will be at San Diego Comic-Con, so I'm looking to try to do a live stream from San Diego Comic-Con. I don't know that there'll be a huge Disney presence, but there will be some Disney presence. I know that the Percy Jackson season 2 is coming up, so their entire team will be there. That's coming to Disney Plus, and Lilo and Stitch, the creator, Chris Sanders, will be there. So hopefully I have a lot to share with you guys, but we'll definitely try to do some live streaming from the San Diego Comic-Con if you're interested in that. Make sure to subscribe and hit that bell for notifications. And then next Wednesday night is going to be next week's the week of the week after is the week of Shannon, because she's going to be talking Toy Story 2 with me, and then she's doing the Happiest Stays. Do you want to tell them at this point what Happiest Stays you're going to review, what hotel you're going to tell them about, or you want to keep that a surprise, or how are we doing on that?
No, we're going to take a different path, but let's keep it a surprise.
Okay, we're taking a different path. So you can catch Castaways. You can catch the Happiest Days and all the other programming we have at parkadventuresclub.com. I do want to also say something about, we have a store that is the store.parkadventuresclub.com. I haven't pushed the store because, number one, I just started it because I like merch and I want to have my own stuff. But if you guys are interested in it, the other reason I didn't is I hadn't gotten my shirt. I had ordered a shirt and a mug and some other stuff. So I do want to show you that, we did get this Park Adventures Club mug. I love this mug, and I'm really happy with the way that turned out. And then finally, also, I got the first t-shirt. So I'm excited about that. These things are available at store.parkadventuresclub.com. I also got a computer mat. Oh, that's upside down. So a desk mat that has Park Adventures Club written on it. So I'm just, this is show and tell. I mean, I'm not trying to sell you guys on this, other than the fact that I'm just really happy with the way that the merchandise turned out. And again, you can check out the store. There are links here on the YouTube channel, or you can go to store.parkadventuresclub.com. And if you are a member of our pack, you get a discount. If you are in the Park Adventures Club, then you can get a discount. Learn more about that at patreon.com/GoPack. And thank you very much to all of our supporters, especially those in the Zebra Mezzanine and the Treasure Room levels. So that is a lot of spiel, and I apologize for that. But I just, I needed the show and tell for the merch. I'm excited about that. Look, it's neat to see. All right. So again, this is a meeting. So it's time for you guys to give your thoughts, opinions, your final say on what makes Disneyland so special. And I will start with Shannon.
Sure. Well, I think it goes without say that it really was something that sparked a change in American culture and Disney as we know it today. A lot of us here are fans of Walt Disney World Resort, and that would not have been possible had Walt not taken a chance and built Disneyland. So Disneyland truly does deserve all the credit, and it really it walked so that Walt Disney World could run. And I think that's what made it so special.
That's a great point. Stephanie?
Our country in next year, 2026, is going to have its 250th birthday, which is pretty amazing. Still pretty young as it pertains to the world stage, obviously. But there's nothing more Americana, more quintessential Americana than Walt Disney. There really isn't. And that's worldwide. People think about Mickey Mouse, they think about Walt Disney. It's America. And I think that is something that is important, and it's important to really honor that and the traditions that Disneyland started. Like Shannon said, it was the first of its kind. I mean, you had regional parks. I grew up going to Six Flags, but you walk in and you see an attraction. It's not themed. It's not a theme park, and that's what Walt Disney did best. He really wanted you to be involved in the movie and the movie magic too. But I think if to Rob's point, if we're gonna go back to the Rob discussion, I feel like if you want to say something is the same between Disneyland and Disney World, it should be honoring of Walt. That should be what it is. Walt actually walked the footsteps in Disneyland, and he lived there from time to time, and his soul, his presence was ingrained into that. But his vision was for Walt Disney World, and if we can honor something that he had his hands in at Walt Disney World, we should do so. Country Bears, Carousel of Progress, to name a few. So yeah, I think that's really what the honoring of his legacy should be, the same between the two parks.
Very cool. We're getting a lot of here, and yes, Stephanie in the chat, and yes, Shannon, and we agree. And so, I think that's, again, we're not here to do anything but to kind of share that there is something special about this park. It is different than Disney World. If you get a chance and you haven't been to Disneyland, put it on your bucket list to go to Disneyland, because it is different. I think that, it is the funny thing is that it's a locals park. And that's the one thing I never really kind of explained or got into, is that it feels like it's one of those things that, people run over there on a Friday night, a Saturday night, a Sunday. They use it as a park, which is kind of, I think that Walt's vision of it was that people would come and hang out and do things. It wasn't a vacation destination. Disney World was vacation destination. But with this one, I think he just wanted people to come and hang out. And so you had all of these, like, the annual passes, which then got made into Magic Keys. And a lot of people probably, that was to kind of pull back the reins on that a little bit. But I think that people who are locals there, that is their park. They hold that very near and dear. They're very judgy about it, and they're judgy about people who aren't locals, I think. A little bit. No? Maybe? And so I think what we talk about on here is we talk about the fact that none of us live 5 miles from a theme park. We travel to these parks because they're special to us. And so, this kind of stuff that we talk about are the hotels that we're staying in when we go, and the opportunities of travel, and what the transportation is, and, what kind of packages you should have, and what things you should think of the first time you go, and that kind of stuff. So hopefully we give you those insights here, and kind of give you the best opportunity to prepare for them. So we'll do more on Disneyland down the road, but I'm looking forward to being there hopefully this coming week, and then and on my way to San Diego Comic-Con, and then Disney World is again sort of home to me. It was the first one I went to. It was the one where I grew up. It was the one we always went to on family vacations, and it's the one where I worked. So anyway, we hope you guys will share some of your comments in the chat below. Tell us about your experiences at Disneyland, what you love, your favorite things, all positive, all good vibes, and we will again not be here for the Park Adventurers Club next Sunday, but we've got tons of programming coming your way. Wednesday night at 9 p.m., Friday night at 8:30, and then we'll be back the next week for another Park Adventurers Club. Thank you, Shannon. Thank you, Stephanie, for being here. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you guys. Have a great week, and we will see you next time. And don't forget, adventure is out there. Take care.